not being a bad mom by giving them ownership of these responsibilities and letting them suffer consequences when they fail, because they will fail. You are being the best mom ever. You are being the best parent ever, because this is your job. Welcome to the Frugal Fit Mom podcast. My name is Christine, and I'm very excited to talk about today's topic because I have this experience, and I feel like because I'm experiencing this situation, that other people are also experiencing it. So today, we are going to be talking all about how to parent forgetful teenagers. I have a specific teenager who is so forgetful that I'm not kidding. I'll ask them to take out the trash. This child is not defiant in any way, okay? I'll ask him to take out the trash, and he will say, okay, and then go into the basement. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Don't you remember what I asked you to do? And they look at me with all honesty in their face, and they said, no, what did you say? And I'm like, I asked you to take out the garbage. And they go, oh, right, like instantly forgetful. So forgetful that they'll do their homework and then forget to turn it in. It's finished. It's done right. They'll probably get 100% and they just forget to do it. So I do want to be clear that we're talking about your basic teenager that forgets stuff. We're not talking about maybe kids with ADD. We're not talking about anything on the autism spectrum or anything that might need a professional. This is just your standard teenager, can't quite do the responsibilities yet. So this is our task, our goal to move forward and help them become responsible adults. That's your job as a parent of a teenager, is to help them turn into an adult who can handle the things that they need to do. This is the perfect time to do this as a teenager because you can give them some assignments, and if they fail, that means the consequences of those failures or lack of ability to do it, they're small. The consequences are small. They're not a big deal. So if they mess up, they're not being fired from a job. They're not being kicked out of their house or apartment or wherever it is that they're staying, right? The risks are low. So the first thing is that there are a lot of tools that your teen can use to stay organized. Now, obviously, I can't make the decision what will work for you and your family. And every kid is going to be different. So maybe my 15-year-old is going to be different than my 18-year-old, and they'll use something different than my 13-year-old. But there are a ton of options between pen and paper, calendars, planners. If your teen has a phone, the phone is literally the easiest thing you can use. If you go onto the calendar, I have an iPhone. So I go into my iCal or whatever it's called, and I can schedule in the things that I need to do and set an alert so it'll bing at me and give me a 10-minute heads up, like the bus is here. Bing! I have to go to work. Bing! There's your 15-minute alert. It's time to be leaving right now. That can be waking up in the morning alarms, getting ready for bed alarms, homework alarms, all kinds of things. There are reminders apps. You can use a Google Calendar if you're into that. I personally love the alarm. It's my favorite thing. I use it now to help me adult, and I am an adult. As you're going into this transition with your teen, I think it's really important to have a conversation with them. Okay, so you're going to sit down with them and you're going to say, hey, now that you're getting older, maybe you're in high school, your life's going to change a little bit. I can't physically make you do anything. I can't be the one to constantly remind you to do your homework. I can't do your laundry. I can't remind you to brush your teeth. It's time to practice being an adult so you can handle these things once you leave my house. So we're going to start now. That's a sample conversation that you can have. It's going to be great because they get their independence, and that means more choices for them. Teens love that, especially the older teens. They really, really want to be an adult. They just don't know how yet. So you're going to coach them into how to do it. But it also means they're going to have to accept the consequences if they don't do the things that they're supposed to do. So here's a sample list of items that you could possibly say, hey, here are some things I won't do for you anymore. Okay, this is my personal list. You can take one or all of these if you like. Number one is I don't email my kids' teachers for any reason at all. This is teenagers, okay? This is not, I'd say 12 and under, I will still assist with this. But once they're 13 and moving on up, It really does fall to them. So this will include being late to school, missing an assignment, forgotten instructions for projects. They're going to be out of town and they need to get homework in advance. All of these things my kids need to be responsible for. And I can assist in that. I have a school binder with every single one of my kids' teachers' contact info. I have their email addresses, I have their phone numbers, I have their websites. It's all in one spot so they can go get it. It's there for them, but they are responsible for doing that. Another thing I won't do is I don't bring forgotten items to school anymore. Once again, this is 13 and up, right? If my 10-year-old forgets their big project, I will happily take it to them. But if my 18-year-old is just like too busy curling her hair and can't be bothered to pack her backpack, that's a different story. Another one that I don't do for my kids anymore is laundry. Actually, I don't do that for my 10-year-old either. Laundry is so easy these days. It's not like we're taking, a washboard and hand scrubbing things and wringing them out. Okay. It's bring it upstairs, put it in the thing with some soap, hit a button. It's literally 5 minutes. It's the easiest thing ever. The one thing I will do as far as laundry is if there's a line, like there's 10 loads waiting in line in the laundry and they're gone all day. And they say, "Hey, mom, the washer's going. I can't put my things in. Can you throw it in during the day when I'm home?" I'm happy to do that for them. But I'm not going to go down into the room, get it, and bring it into the laundry room, right? They can handle that sort of thing, and they can definitely handle the folding and putting away. I don't fold anybody's laundry, barely my own, honestly. Okay, another one is I don't clean my kids' rooms anymore. This one can be so difficult because, to be honest, our cleanliness level as an adult is much, much higher than a child. It just is. So, on some level, you might just have to lower your expectations a little bit. On another level, you might just have to shut the door and walk away. And sometimes, every few months I'll go and I'll be like, "Hey, I'll sit and chat with you while you do this big project because you let it get crazy, but I'm not going to do it for you." Another option is to declutter a lot of the things in your kids' rooms that they don't need. I found we had a laundry issue in our house. There were just clothes everywhere all the time. And I realized each kid had 20 t-shirts. They can't even wear that many t-shirts before they're doing laundry and bringing it to the room again. It just didn't make sense. So we decluttered quite a bit of stuff. And number 5, something that I don't do for my kids anymore is I don't make their lunch. I have not made my kids' lunches in years. Listen, I am happy to purchase the items they want for their lunch, but a 15-year-old, 16, 17, 18-year-old are 100% capable of putting together a lunch for themselves. My kids do take lunch from home. My youngest son decided he was going to make his lunch the night before. He called it his pre-lunch. He uses it as a verb. I'm like, "Hey, did you have your lunch this morning?" And he's like, "Yeah, mom, I pre-lunched." Kids really are hilarious, by the way. I don't think I would have laughed this much in my life if I had not had kids. Okay, so now that you've gone over this list, which could be all 5 of these things or not, one thing maybe to start with, you can say to your teen, this doesn't mean I'm not here for you, and it doesn't mean that I can't be used as a resource or that I won't help you, but it means that you own these tasks, right? You own these. So you need to be on these. And then you can go through the tools to help them stay organized, that we had mentioned before. Here's another option. When your teen or any child or anyone in the house actually runs out of something that they need. This is my favorite way to do this is I have a running grocery list on my fridge. It's pen and paper. So when they run out of things like contact solution, deodorant, hair gel, I don't expect them to go and purchase all of their own items at this point, but they can write it on the list and I can say, "Hey, I'm going shopping on Friday. If you need anything, put it on the list." They can put it on their notes on if they have an iPhone. They can put it on their notes and share it with me. They can text me. They can even access, I have a online Walmart account and I'll do Walmart grocery pickups often. So they can go into the Walmart account and actually add things to the cart. Now, they do not have permission to purchase things. I reserve the right to veto the things they put in the cart. But if they need it, I'm happy to go look at it. Maybe they need socks or underwear or whatever it is. And we're too busy to actually go to the store because they're working and they have school and all of these things, sports. I'm happy to go in and look at that and put the order in. Let's talk about this one. I don't wake up my kids in the morning before school. And this one, this is The most basic responsibility, if you're going to start anywhere, start with this one. I don't wake them up for school because with the phones and the Alexas and the alarm clocks, there are so many things that they can use to wake themselves up in the morning. Every single one of my kids has an alarm clock. They all know how to set it. They all know how to turn it on. This is step one in being a grown-up, right? Get up when you have to go somewhere. Get out of bed when you have to go somewhere. So I don't wake my kids up. They know what time they need to be up and they take care of it. Now, I will give you two scenarios where I might assist. Let's say the bus comes at 8:05 and my kid is still sleeping at 8. I will go in there and be like, yo, you're going to miss the bus. They have 5 minutes to put on some shoes, brush through the hair, brush their teeth, grab their bag, and out the door. 5 minutes. I'll be honest though, I can't remember the last time that happened. Like, I literally cannot remember. It must have been last school year, not even this, at least a year. The last time that happened, that has not happened in a very long time. Here's the other thing. If my kid wants to get up for a certain thing, for example, my 18-year-old daughter decides she wants to do a Peloton ride in the morning at 6:30. So she sets her alarm for 6:15. And she says to me, I'm setting my alarm for 6:15. Can you check on me at 6:20 just to make sure I got up? That I will do. They ask for my help. They set a goal. They set their own alarm. I'm just verifying that they're following through with the goal they set, right? But they started it themselves, which I say is a huge, huge win. Now, there's a couple of things I want to talk about as you navigate these waters that might feel weird and uncomfortable as you move through this new transition and stage with your teen. Is number one, listen to me carefully. You are not being a bad mom by giving them ownership of these responsibilities and letting them suffer consequences when they fail, because they will fail. You are being the best mom ever. You are being the best parent ever because this is your job. You need them to be able to leave the house whenever they leave the house, college or a job or whatever it is that they do, and be able to function. This is huge in helping them learn major life responsibility. You are doing great, and it's probably going to be hard and you might feel guilty, but it will be okay. Number two is that I want you to go into this with the understanding that your child most likely is not being defiant. They're not being stubborn. They're not being sassy. They just don't have the skills. The brain does not fully finish developing until well into your 20s. So you can't expect a 15-year-old to behave like a 30-year-old because they just aren't. They're still developing. They're still figuring it out. So a little bit of grace and understanding when they mess up, because they will mess up, is for you to be patient and say, hey, it's going to be okay. We're going to try again next time. Try again tomorrow. Try again later. Because they have to be able to figure this out. And it can be really hard to sit back and let your child try something and have them mess it up. It's hard. It's really hard, but it's so good for them. So don't be frustrated with your child when they do their homework and don't turn it in, because that's what my kid does. Or if they said they would do a chore and completely forgot, it's just part of the process. I think it's completely okay to add boundaries and change the relationship with your teen, but you can't rescue them all the time and expect them to learn these skills. So it's time for them to step up and grow a little bit, and you can help them in that process. It's going to be a road, it's going to be probably years of working on this, but they can do it. You can do it. I hope this was helpful for you. This has really been on my mind lately, so I knew someone else would be thinking the same thing. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Consider subscribing if you want to hang out with me more and talk about more life topics, parenting issues. If you have someone that you think would be super fun for me to interview on the show, I'd be happy to listen to that as well. Have a great week.